Hello, hello, hello. You're listening to Under the Sun with me, Tony Iman. Thank you so much for letting me into your ears today. I hope you're having a good day, night, whatever time it is you're listening to this. I have just finished eating dinner, a very tantalizing, delicious meal of pounded yam and vegetable soup, efo. I highly recommend if you have never tried pounded yam with either egusi, which is also called melon seed soup, or eforiro, which is vegetable soup, please go out of your way to try it. It really felt like a caress from home, just sitting down and eating and really dialing into that sensory experience with my show playing in the background. And now I am talking to you. I'm at this stage where it's like a happy medium. I'm like letting the food marinate and digest just before I start to feel my eyes going heavy as a telltale sign that I'm sleepy. So I'm really calm just because I have just eaten. I feel like the last few episodes, or maybe just the last one, has been very chaotic because my energy has just been all over the place. But today I feel very centered. And I also feel like it's because one, I've had a slower day than I usually do. It's Sunday and it's like what, 8 p.m. Usually by now I'm still scrambling, trying to finish up things or procrastinating something that I should be doing. And it was really good to have a slow day. I went to church, connected, fellowshipped, had some good food. And I actually did my taxes. I think this deserves a round of applause. I may or may not insert at this junction. I've been procrastinating doing my taxes for like the longest time because it's not even particularly hard. I mean, I use a software. It does half the work for me. All I need to do is really track down my forms and make sure I'm not imputing the wrong things and I'm putting all the right things in the right places. But I think I made the process more serious than it is in the sense of like, obviously, yes, it's important to pay your taxes. It's a pretty serious thing that requires careful attention, but I made the act of doing it larger than it really needed to be. I remember grumbling to my friends and going, "Oh, I don't want to do my taxes." And, "Oh my God, I still have to do my taxes." And it's so adult and I don't want to do it. And I was very dramatic about it. And honestly, I feel like that's part of the way I cope with things that I don't want to do or I'm not looking forward to, is just moan and groan until it gets done. But today, when I finally sat down to do it, because it's like I'm towing the deadline here, I realized that, I don't know, and maybe later on I'm going to realize that it's just because I've romanticized the whole process. And so now I'm thinking, oh, it's not a big deal. Like, oh, in hindsight, it was fine. But as I was doing it, I actually kind of felt very, I don't know, what's the word? Comfortable. Like, oh, this isn't so bad. And I'm getting into a little groove here. I took a little break to prepare my food and then I finished it and I rewarded myself with, again, that tantalizing meal. And it felt good. Looking back on my week, I'm going to go into the peaks and the pits of it all. But one thing that's really helped me is romanticizing stuff. And while not everything can be romanticized, I think one starts to appreciate the mundane stuff or the things that we struggle to do or the everyday portions of our lives that we don't necessarily look forward to, that we procrastinate around, when we kind of bring in a mindset of romanticism. On some level, I feel like I am experiencing quiet burnout, which is, a separate conversation in itself. And I really started to realize it once I put this feeling into words when I was talking to a friend of mine and explaining how I felt like I'm running behind and I'm chasing after something desperate to find it and fix it. But I'm not really running behind. I'm just tired. And I was having another conversation today and this person said, you're trying to go through this season of life that's taking so much from you and perform the same way you would when you didn't have these added things on your plate. Sometimes you want to do things at a higher level than you're physically and emotionally able to. And at that point in time, it's not up to you to overperform. And this is me, paraphrasing. But this person said, it's not up to you to overperform. It's for you to take care of yourself in that space that you're in and remain consistent so you can back up where you left off. And this was really, in context of me whining about the fact that I haven't been able to get back into my gym grind, or, the one time I did go to the gym, I just felt so weak and I couldn't go through my workout the way I typically would. I'm like, I could do more. Like, I used to do 2 days. What happened to me? But this person really helped me put things in perspective, because they made me realize that it's okay for me to not always be at 10. And if the world and my life is requiring 10 out of me and I only have 8 to give, it's really my job to make sure that I don't fall below that 8. It's up to me to nurture myself so that I can reach 10 at some point. And so throughout this week, it's been a lot of school. I've been prioritizing sleep. I've been prioritizing getting in time with friends and family. And that honestly was a peak for me. The time that I've had to spend with loved ones and to connect with people that I value, because that really, it pours back into my cup. These are things that I can't overemphasize. And I realize that even though I'm such I love my own space type of person, I find that when I'm really struggling in life or when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I really get re-energized through quality time. I was given space to do that multiple times this past week, and I'm so grateful for it. And I think that's what also helped me romanticize my life in this moment, because I'm like, I'm walking through life and being able to take in all these things, and it's such a blessing. Like, I really try to be present. So yeah, I'm kind of processing these feelings as I'm talking. I don't think I've fully even, I've thought about it here and there, but being able to take in what God has given me and really reflect on his blessing. And even today at church, we were talking about how to train our minds against things that separate us from God. I mean, one of them being sin as a whole, but also concepts like fear and what that looks like in practicality. And one thing that I took away is sometimes it's incredibly helpful for you to look on how far you've come with God on your side and the things that you have and the way you're so blessed and the answered prayers that you're living in order for you to continue to trust to move forward. And a way for me to, I feel like, constantly put that in perspective and also just be hyper aware of my blessings and that the fact that I'm living in some of my answered prayers right now is by romanticizing life. Excuse me, I just did a little hiccup. And I really hope that this part of my brain that can be so gracious about, all these things and not throw a tantrum and not want to complain 24/7 resurfaces in the other moments where I'm really at my wit's end, because I feel like I don't really get this side of myself often. I tend to just kind of spiral and wallow in my in self-pity and just like, oh my God, my life is so hard and I can't do anything and I'm tired. But it's kind of like, well, for one, you put yourself in that situation. That's something I've had to be honest with myself about. Like, half the stress that I go through, especially mentally, is as a result of commitments that me and myself and nobody sent you. You just decided that you wanted to do this or you had to do this one thing. And then you get upset when it requires actual work. So yeah, I don't even remember what I was trying to say. But I want us to briefly discuss what it means to romanticize something. And the dictionary definition is to think about or describe something as being better or more attractive or interesting than it really is. I'm literally doing it right now, romanticizing my week, romanticizing my stress. And I'm not trying to be toxic. I'm not trying to do it in a way where it's like, it's okay for you to experience burnout because that means that you're at the top of your game. And this is just what boss girls do or boss people do. It's not about that. Definitely, it's important to recognize when you need rest and draw that line when needed. But I also think that sometimes when we're doing hard things, a way for us to cope and something to help bring us back to reality and ground us psychologically, it's about being more mindful. It's about being more intentional. It's about connecting with the things around you that bring you joy. One way I've done that is, like I said before, connecting with my friends and family and really taking it all in, taking in the details, listening attentively, laughing, and being my full authentic self in their presence, because it's like you don't get these moments all the time. Something I did today was romanticize doing my taxes. I put on a show. I got myself a chai and I just sat and I did it. This past week, I remember I did a full face of makeup for no absolute reason other than the fact that I had the time and I wanted to feel zhuzhed up. And I took my time with the process and played around with technique. I now have this really, in my opinion, bulletproof method of doing my everyday makeup with concealer only and minimal powders. It's very glowy. It's very clean. My skin is incredibly even. And I'm very excited. Like I ran that look back twice because I was like, oh, she still got it. Like, okay, girl, period. And it made me feel good. I went throughout the day feeling like I had done something already just by stepping out of the house because I put that extra effort into romanticizing my get ready process and actually taking my time to do something a little extra. When I first did that makeup look, it was the first time in a couple of days where I wasn't running ragged. Like, oh my God, I'm late. I got to be out of here in 5 minutes. Just slap the hair in a bun, moisturize your face, put on some lip balm and get out of here ASAP. And it really did help to set a good tone for my day. Another thing that I feel like I do to romanticize my life is this podcast, actually. I'm able to come on here week after week if we're on schedule. For me, it's a method of romanticizing my life because all this really is online journaling. It's me processing in real time and inviting you to process with me. I'm not going to lie, sometimes I get like main character vibes, just sitting here in my room with my computer yapping, but it sets the tone. It sets a mood. Playlists. Oh my God. I feel like music is one of the most integral parts of romance or romanticism in general. If you watch a film and they're doing like a crazy shot or like, and they're not even a crazy shot, just like a shot in general, but it's really centered on the character self-actualizing or something. It's all about the music. The music is what really, I feel like, helps translate whatever message they're trying to push forward. And for me, I listen to music all the time when I'm in the shower, sometimes when I'm getting ready, as I wake up, when I'm talking to friends, like we're in the car, we're driving, we're listening to something because it helps set the mood. I've discovered a few new artists that I'm super excited about, that I like to listen to, and also just other old songs that I used to rock with heavy and then I kind of forgot about, but now I've rediscovered them again. And also just like reading my Bible out loud. I find that that's very comforting and it makes me feel closer to God. When I read out loud, I feel like God is speaking to me in a very tangible way, and it helps me process what I'm reading a lot easier than when I just kind of read it in silence, journaling, other than, like I said, this podcast. But yeah, taking the time to not, and taking the time through the everyday moments. So when I'm walking to class, even if I'm late, and call it senioritis, I don't rush. Unless it's also like an exam or something, but then it's like it's an exam, why are you late? If it's class, I'm walking leisurely, taking my time, trying to be aware of what's around me and try to center my mind before I subject my brain to absorbing all these kinds of information that I've never seen before. And to cut a long story short, I think even the very act of reflecting on our life can be romanticized. And if not for anything, it gives you an added layer of control. If you feel like your life is spinning out of control and you can't get a handle on it, and I'm speaking from experience here where I'm like, I can't get a handle on my routine. I'm all out of whack. I can't center myself. I mean, first off, pray, seek God first. And something else you can do is to romanticize your everyday moments. That gives you back a level of control and creates the sense that you're not waiting for joy. You're identifying joy or creating joy all on your own and choosing to be happy. And if you're also alone, and I've talked about spending time with family and being surrounded by people and how I felt so refreshed from that, but not everyone has that privilege. And I've had moments where I'm alone, sometimes by choice, and it still feels tangible because I've reframed it into some sort of vibe. Like I said, main character energy, it's kind of like everything fades away and it's just me and I can focus. And if not for anything, it allows you to eliminate the habits that you don't appreciate or the parts of your life that you don't appreciate, that you don't think is serving you. It just puts things into amazing perspective. So, in summary, what I really mean when I say I'm romanticizing my life and I'm encouraging you to try it isn't about pretending that everything's perfect or really to capture a main character moment or being delusional. It's about choosing to see the extraordinary around you. It's about being present. It's it's a quiet rebellion against how stressful the world can be and how dark the world can be. It's about taking agency over the happiness and joy in your life and forgoing the idea that joy is something that you have to rely on others to provide for you or that it's something that has to be earned tooth and nail or scheduled. Like, I'm going to be happy when this happens. It's saying that every second that you're able to live your life matters. And I have a few recommendations, things I want to share. A friend of mine told me to watch a movie, not a show, a movie called The Life List, I believe. I watched it today and I really liked it. And I think it's fitting to recommend this episode particularly because, no spoilers, she's sent on a journey of self discovery and romance, kind of, and romanticizing her life or at least her goals in a way that really made her self come together. And you see the character self actualize when they've managed to do all the things. So, if you're into rom com, coming of age type things, or you just love a good adventure moment with a very outspoken main character and kind of strange, but yet oddly loving, or if you love Sophia Carson because she plays the main character, I highly recommend that you watch it. And shout out to my friend who recommended it. And my last recommendation for before this episode is going to end, I promise, is to try pounded yam with honestly any Nigerian soup, but you can't go wrong with egusi. It's such a staple. But yeah, I'm extremely grateful for everyone who's listening or who listened, and to you specifically who is listening right now. for the way that you allow me to be part of your day. Maybe romanticize the playing and listening to this podcast episode. I don't know. But I'm grateful. And I'm wishing you a good week, one that gives you things, gives you joy back, and allows you to enjoy the process of being intentional. So yeah, you can find me on Instagram. I am 20 Iman, by the way. I'm actually going to be sharing some reviews for the past few episodes, like just this new season that we're in of Under the Sun. So check that out if you want to see. If you've submitted a review, not on the platforms, just mostly on like through DMs and stuff. I love hearing when people DM me about the podcast in general. So if you've DM'd me, if you shared a review, a particularly touching review, or we've just had a really cool conversation, like tune into the Instagram because you might see it pop up. And if you're curious and you're like, okay, why the heck should I continue listening to this podcast? Maybe it's a good idea to check out the reviews and the ratings and kind of see what we've been rocking with since the beginning of the year. And yeah, speaking of ratings, don't forget to rate this podcast 5 stars. 4 is acceptable because we are constantly trying to be better. And I understand that this podcast isn't perfect, but don't go any lower because at that point, that's just being a hater. Thank you so much for your time. I will talk to you soon. Bye.